Hi, Doc. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Hey, everybody. This is Dr. Lee from Lee Acupuncture. The last time I had an interview with Dr. Debbie Nambudripad regarding NAET. And a lot of people asking about how not acupuncture, actually, NAET and then infertility specific. But there's a lot of questions about the food sensitivity or general principle of the NAET. So I invite Dr. Roy. Thank
Mhm.
you so much for being here. I know you're so busy, Doc, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can just call me Roy. That's fine.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
So
good seeing
let
you.
me
Mhm.
let me see here. Actually, I think I'm gonna close my this and resume. Okay. So let me introduce who's Dr. Roy. Dr. Roy Nambudripad. He's a son of Dr. Debbie Nambudripad, the founder of NAET. He's a general practitioner doctor located in Orange County, California. He trained in pathology, but then decided to study acupuncture and support NAET in its mission to help patients worldwide, along with his mother. So he received his medical degree from the University of California, Irvine School of
Mhm.
Medicine, and now helps administer oversight of NAET worldwide and train practitioners. Huge organization, Doc.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about it.
Yeah, because actually I'm getting support from Dr. Roy, and that's why I think he's an excellent people to ask about what this NAT is. But before we go to the NAT, let's talk about what is allergy.
Yeah, sure. That's a good question, actually. So, it depends on your definition. So, if you talk to the general person on the street, the word allergy means a bad reaction to anything, a food, chemical, environmental item. Some people say they're allergic to people, right? They say it like kind of like a joke, but actually there's some truth to that. But if you go to a physician's office or dentist's office or acupuncturist office, when in the form when they ask for allergies, if you have any allergies, that's a very specific type of allergy. That's more related to life-threatening allergy, anaphylaxis, swelling in the throat, trouble breathing, that kind of a specific allergy.
Mhm.
Um, which of course NAT also helps to address, but the word allergy is a very general term, so it can refer to sensitivity or a very severe, type 1 hypersensitivity or IgE mediated allergy. There's different types of allergy, but all of this is basically a reaction to some kind of normal food that other people do not have problem with, like peanut or fish or soy or maybe perfumes or chemicals, things like this.
Why people develop that kind of a specific reaction though? Do we
Yeah, it's a
know
very
why?
good question. Yeah, very good question. So there's again, just like the word, there's many different types of development of allergy. So one of them, the life-threatening one, usually for like peanut and soy and fish, that one usually develops in childhood.
Mhm.
And what happens is the immune system confuses normal food with parasites or infections. There's a confusion that usually happens. Um, there's a protein in the blood called IgE, E as an elephant, and that's very important actually, because if that's high for a certain food item for a certain patient, or if the skin test, there's allergists can do a skin test and it
Yeah.
shows very strong rash. What that means is that patient can have a very strong allergy to that substance. Usually, what that means is that for some reason the thymus, which is when you're in childhood, you have an organ in your neck called the thymus. That one is responsible for developing these antibodies or proteins to attack the bad guys like parasites, infection, bad things when you're growing up. And for some reason, there's a confusion that happens. And so in a specific child, their thymus will recognize dust or fish or peanut as being the bad guy, so to speak. And then instead of creating the protein to the parasite, it creates the protein to attack the peanut. And then as they grow up, they still have that protein. It does not go away. So when they're exposed to peanut, their blood reacts to the peanut very severely. And so they can get a lot of histamine type reactions, swelling, trouble breathing is the most important problem. They can die actually if you are not treated properly. So that's a very big concern, especially with NAET. The practitioners need to know that and be aware of that when they're addressing those patients. But there are other types of patients, usually they develop in adulthood, not childhood, which are not this life-threatening allergy, but more like a sensitivity or maybe an emotional type of reaction, which can present like a very severe allergy, but it's not the same physiology as this IgE-mediated allergy.
I see. So let's dive into NAET. Last time, Dr. Debbie also explained, but can you explain what is NAET?
Yeah, it's a good question. Also, so it stands for Nambudripad's allergy elimination technique, which you mentioned. Basically, it's a form of acupressure and massage that my mother developed almost 40 years now. 40 years ago, I was about four or 5 years old when she developed it. Yeah, I was very sick when I was a child, an infant, and she was also quite sick, and my father as well. And so she developed this to help our family actually. In search of a way to help us. But basically, she stumbled upon this pattern of acupressure, massage, as well as avoidance for the food substance that we are talking about, which seems to help reduce the symptoms for the person. And we're not exactly sure the pathophysiology of it yet. However, we do have some research published. It's on our website, www.naet.com. So if you go to About on there and then studies, there's actually several studies that have been published. One of them I published myself in the medical literature. And if you read in those articles, you'll see some ideas. Some people are giving some ideas of how it may work. But generally, I think the idea is that we are using the peripheral nervous system to modify the central nervous system. And then that modifies your reaction to a substance. So like kind of similar to a computer in a way. You have the keyboard and the mouse. So the keyboard and the mouse is like the peripheral nervous system or the spine, when we're adjusting the nerves. And we are inputting signals to the central nervous system, which is the computer, which is the brain in this case. And then the brain is reprogrammed through this kind of typing or manipulation, and then it produces a new type of image on the computer screen. One way to think of it. So before you have a rash when you eat peanut, and then with a lot of treatment and manipulation with the nerves and spine, then next time that person exposed to peanut, they may not have as much of a rash.
I see. So actually you have to repeat a little while to make the body to receive this signal though?
Yeah, it's another good question. So it depends on the type of allergy and severity. So if somebody has a very strong allergy to something, it takes a much longer time first to even get to that problem, because in that case, you'll have to do a lot of base work before you can address it, so that the patient does not overreact. The main thing is safety. We want to make sure the patient is safe. If you put peanut right away in somebody's hand where they're very severely allergic to peanut, they can have a big problem. So we are training our practitioners specifically in ways to sort of help their immune system so that they get to the proper point in time at the right pace. But then, yes, if somebody has a very minor allergy, not so severe, like the blood work is negative and it's not very severe, those patients can clear much faster. So in that line of thinking, for example, patients with more emotional type of issues, a more emotional allergy or more psychological type issues, those patients may have symptoms that look very severe, but they can actually get better faster.
Wow.
Whereas opposed to a child, maybe who has a very severe blood allergy to an item, that will take many, maybe hundreds of treatments to get it normal.
I see. So intensity,
Yeah,
how bad it is.
correct.
So since you mentioned about like how the treatment goes briefly, and
Yes.
there's a like when I went to the treatment with my practitioner, I'm certified, but I always said I'm pretty new in this field, but I love it.
Yes.
So there's a lot of sample like a vial. So
Yes.
how many we actually have, and is there any some specific category like
Yes, so you're talking about the homeopathic vials. So we have vials that are made homeopathically. The reason we have those of different substances, the reason we have that is for, again, for safety. You can treat someone for a real peanut, and I've actually done that myself, as well as many of our practitioners. However, you have to be very careful. And so a safer way to go about it is, as I did as well, is to start with homeopathic vials, which are just diluted samples of various substances. Pretty much does not even have the real thing in the vial. It's just more the energy of the vial, of the substance. And so we start with that first, and we have seen over time that we've had tremendous results using that system. As I said, it's been almost 40 years now since we've been doing this. My mom has been doing this actually. And so she has a lot of data on this. Many patients, thousands of patients have come to her, as well as we have other practitioners like yourself too, who are treating people. So we have collected a lot of information. So over that time, we have evolved to this point where we have this system of vials. We have many vials of most things, actually, believe it or not, of things that people react to. And we use that to desensitize patients slowly. Of course, sometimes you will need to get the real substance as well later on in time when the patient is ready. You can do that as well. But this is kind of a safer way to do that. And it's all made by homeopathy.
excellent. So the patient can start with a vial, like a more like a diluted form of, but also
Yes.
they can bring their own, let's say, some environment and then try to clear and then see which one is reacts with. They
Yes.
can, correct?
Right. The most important thing is the practitioner needs to be well trained and properly certified. So they should be listed on our website. The patient should make sure that that person is really a practitioner, because sometimes there are people on YouTube and internet that are claiming they're NAET practitioners, but they're not really that. So that's the only problem. But if the person is properly trained and is licensed and a good practitioner, they should understand this concept, and they should be able to help the patient at the proper time to bring the real food or real substance, perfume, chemical, whatever the case may be, and to treat it. But there needs to be an initial process first for the patient so that they don't overreact to the substance.
Good point. And also this you said that it's acupressure. So NAET is acupressure theory and also avoidance theory, correct?
Correct. Yeah, acupuncture, the traditional Chinese medicine, I would say. The idea of meridians, blockage in the meridians, and also the concept of using the points on the back, which are specifically taught to our practitioners to help desensitize the patient to the substance. So that's what I meant by acupressure, really. And then, yes, once we do that, in all of our articles that we have published, we have had the patients avoid the substance. So it's all published protocol that we follow. And also, of course, we've been doing for so many years now this way, that we have found that when you do the avoidance in the proper pattern and you do the treatment on the back properly, there's a much better result than if you were to skip that and try shortcuts. Some people have tried shortcut methods to doing NAET. And what happens is, in some patients, you might be able to get away with it because they're not very sick. But in a very sick patient, that's very dangerous. They can actually overreact, as I mentioned. So you really have to take your time. That's the only downside to NAET. It is like a therapy program. It's not like a pill you swallow or one needle you put and your pain is gone. It's not like that. It's more like actually a process. It takes several treatments before you can start to see some benefits usually.
Absolutely, because I've been already seeing some very good improvement myself.
Oh, good. Very good.
It's not like a several
I'm
visits.
so
That's
glad
on
to
the
hear that.
strength. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So my we always say like 24 hours avoidance for whatever you cleared. Is there any logic or any experience like what where the 25 comes from? Not a 24 hours, like a
Yeah,
25
yeah.
hours.
So it's a good question. You know, my mom just has experimented over the years, as I said, trying all kinds of shortcuts and everything. And this is what she has found, that there is a minimum of 24-hour, basically a day-night cycle, essentially, that you need to avoid for a treatment to feel the improvement. There's many reasons for it. The given reason that we teach our practitioners is acupuncture theory, actually, which is the meridians. There's 12 meridians in the body, and so there's 2 hours for each meridian to clear. That's what we teach. But medically speaking as well, we know now, even after the 80s and 90s and 70s, when my mom was studying a lot of this, that a lot of this avoidance of these toxins help. Like we have this gluten-free, celiac-free, all dairy-free diets, right? All these things. So the avoidance actually helps to detoxify the body too. Now, in our situation, we are giving only temporary 24-hour avoidance, but still, I think there's that benefit of detoxification when you do that pattern. Okay. Another theory could be that when you're avoiding for a full day night cycle, your brain is adjusting to that avoidance as well. So maybe it's reteaching itself how to avoid that in not being triggered by that response. Maybe these are all just theories. We don't, as I said, we don't have the exact basic science mechanism for it, but all we do know is that the results are much better when you follow that protocol properly. Some patients may require more than 24 hours. It's rare, but sometimes it can happen as well.
That was I'm trying to actually ask if I avoid a little bit longer, might be even better. And then you said
Yeah, that will be one area of research in the future, maybe. Maybe potentially by doing longer avoidance, maybe we can clear faster the treatment. I don't know. We have not done that study yet.
sure. So the last time Dr. Debbie mentioned, and she start not only NAT, but she had some health challenges, and then the
Yes.
fasting really helped her.
Yes,
And
right.
since I after treatment, I'm thinking I'm gonna fast for 24 hours instead of just selectively avoiding specific
Oh,
my
yes.
compound. I just go
Mhm.
for maybe fasting. It might be better plan if you can.
Yeah, so the only caution I would say, for you that maybe you're acupuncturist and you're a practitioner, so that's okay. But for the general patient, you have to be careful because some patients may have diabetes, or some patients may have issues with avoiding certain foods. So as long as they're able to maintain some sort of energy, and maybe white rice or something like that keeps them somewhat satisfied, then it may be okay. But you really need to speak to the practitioner and work with the practitioner to make sure it's safe. But yes, generally that idea is correct, that the more you can avoid it, the more educational it is for you as well, because sometimes you might feel better by avoiding some of these toxins. That's another reason we do 24 hours too, because it may be too much to do 1 week or 1 month, right? Avoidance,
Mm,
that may be too much for most people. So one day is a good sort of medium to give most people some sense of relief and see how they're doing. But if the patient is able to avoid things, and see how they feel, and then bring back the food into the diet and see how they feel again, that's very helpful. Some people may understand that maybe they get a headache with chocolate and they don't know that. They may think, okay, when I have a headache, I just take my pill, migraine pill. But if they avoid chocolate completely and they never get a headache, then you don't have to take the pill, right?
exactly.
So that's very educational, but it's very specific to each patient.
Excellent. So this is kind of silly question too, because everybody's individualized, but expectation wise. And if patient having some sensitivity, let's say I have patient want to get rid of cat allergies, like, oh
Mhm.
wow, how you can do.
Yeah.
But I think it's doable. So the what is average, like not really serious conditions, their treatment time length, like how long do
Yes.
I have to get this treatment?
Yes, so you mentioned something very important. So if it's not severe, so that
Mhm.
means that if they do blood work for IgE, for example, and it's a negative or zero, then that's much faster than somebody who has a very high IgE, or if their skin test is positive. Okay, so there's two types of patients there. So in the patient that is not medically allergic, let's say,
Mhm.
okay, it's a very minor sensitivity. They often get better with just few treatments, maybe even one treatment. They might already start to feel improvement of the cat hair. But here, keep in mind, before you get to the cat hair, in almost all of our patients, we must do a basic process first before we treat that. The reason for that is because we do not want to make the patient worse. And by
Mhm.
sometimes on the very first visit, if you put cat hair in their hand, even if they have no medical allergy, they can start itching, get reaction. They might start feeling sick, and that's not what we want to do. So the safer way is to start with the basics, which are basically nutrients that we treat people. It's a program. Again, it's all published in our research and articles that we have listed on our website. So it's research based and published. And in fact, one of the studies has a control, so it's a controlled study as well. And so we follow that protocol. And then once you are ready, or once the patient is ready, then we can introduce that item and treat. If the patient has a very severe allergy, it may take many more treatments.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
the what I'm seeing at this time for NAET, like a NAET patient interested in, they not real super allergic reaction. I mean, they're absolutely the group of people, but
Mhm.
people with more sensitivity, as you said, the food
Yeah.
sensitivity
Good.
or
That's good.
SIBO. And
Yeah.
then those group of patient, you said just go for clear the basic, and then directly you can go and you can have a pretty fast recovery process.
Yeah, and in those patients, you actually, well, I have found anyway in my practice and my mother as well, that even by doing the basics, they already start to feel better.
That's excellent. That's a
Then it
basic
gives you,
approach.
yeah, that gives you a sense or a signal that you are doing the right thing, number one, and number two, that the patient will get better, usually faster than normal. So that's again, in a severely allergic patient, they may not feel that much benefit right away. It may take more sessions.
But they can still get help though. So we
Yes,
not.
so we have actually published research on our website. So one of the patients I treated myself was a 19-year-old girl at the time. Now she must be much older, of course. And she had a severe class 5 out of 6 allergy to peanut. And I treated her for almost 2 years. And
Mm.
after the end of the 2 years, she dropped down to class 3, which is really good. 2 classes down, which is very significant. She stopped at that point. She didn't want to do any more treatment because when she went back to the allergist said she was able to eat peanut without any reaction. So he
Wow.
declared her fine, and then she decided not to do any more treatment at that point. If it were me, I would have wished that she had come to do additional treatment to get to zero, but it was not meant to be anyway at that point.
That's amazing though. Peanut allergy.
Yeah.
So let's see. Is there anything you wanna share? Because the some people never knew about NAT and any other information.
Yeah, so the most important thing is to make sure they go to our website and make sure the practitioner is listed on our database in our website, because with NAT we don't have our own board or licensure or regulation like an Acupuncture Board of California, for
Mm.
example, or something. So it's very difficult for us to control. They are all acupuncturists, medical doctors, chiropractors, or nurses, or etc. And so we just train them, and it's up to me, actually, it's my role is to regulate and make sure people are doing properly the NAT. So as long as they check and make sure their practitioner is listed, and then again, our website is www.naet.com. And then I would encourage everyone to go and read all the research that's on our website as well. It's a lot of information in there. I don't have enough time to go into it now, but there are several studies that are very, very informative for people.
it's such a promising though, because I'm seeing like the increased number of patients suffering with this food sensitivity and then allergies. Now seasons are coming, like a
Yeah.
spring.
Right.
A
Right.
devastating situation, I think.
Yeah.
And also one thing I was really impressed by NAET, like 20 years ago, I just newly graduated and I was
Hmm.
trying to sign up myself with the insurance company.
Uh-huh.
They listed NAET.
Oh, really?
Wow,
Wow.
what is this? And then that's the
Oh,
very first time I discovered the name
wow. Which
NAET.
insurance company is that? Do you know?
Yes, the San Diego based company.
Oh, yeah, you can send me the information. Maybe our practitioners might be interested to
I
know.
can absolutely, they are huge. They were
Okay,
asking,
good.
what technique do you use? And then there was
Oh,
NAET, and I didn't
oh,
never heard
yeah.
about it.
We don't have many insurance companies that I know that are accepted at this point in time. So that will be very helpful for us.
And but the one thing I really emphasize in NAT, because I think allergy is just everywhere, not only
Yeah,
food and an environment. And then problem is there's not much help. Something really solid
correct.
like NAT. And then,
Right.
as I said, the insurance company, some insurance company recognize. So
Yeah.
even your hard work to just do a lot of research and then study. So I think people just start recognizing already that even you didn't realize.
Yeah, that is Dr. Devi and my goal right now. That's our job is to try to do more research. Actually, we have a big study right now on autism going with placebo control as well, not just control, but placebo control in the vials. And we are trying to publish it. It's with the COVID pandemic and all these shipping delays from overseas. There's been a lot of issues with delays, but eventually we hope to publish that and maybe publish in a big journal and then hopefully we'll have more companies and maybe even hospitals that start to accept it, that kind of thing. But yes, you're absolutely right. The world of allergy is very mysterious,
Mhm.
and no one understands quite how to help yet. Even the medications that they have, there's a lot of side effects. The allergy shots themselves take a long time, and they can have side effects as well. So the good thing about NAT is very low side effect. It's basically acupressure. There's some avoidance. You have to do some inconvenience with your diet, but other than that, there's not much else. The only bad side to NAT is it does take a long time, like allergy shots in some patients. But in those patients who have very minor issue, it's very quick actually.
But what I truly believe NAT works because it
Yes,
works
it
for
does.
children. They don't
Yes.
really have a placebo,
Correct, correct.
and
We
they
even
are
treat
as
animals. We have treated dogs and horses as well. We have veterinarians that have used NAT, and I don't think they have placebo. I think so. Yeah, we have had. If you go on YouTube and type NAT, I'm sure you'll see a lot of testimonials, maybe even animals there, dogs with the rash going away. I saw a video of that once, I think. So it is definitely energy medicine is the way I would describe it. And animals and humans and children, we all have energy. So I think it's something involving in that. But again, that we do not understand the exact mechanism yet, but hopefully one day we will. Maybe my son or your son, maybe we'll figure it out.
Thank you so much, Doug. You're amazing because as you said, you are super busy, but your response with all the practitioners trying to help our patient, it's just amazing support you are providing. So I
Thank you.
truly appreciate it,
Of
and thank you
course,
so much
yes.
for your willingness to spend time here,
Of
share
course, my
your
pleasure.
information. Okay, Doug. Thank you so much. Be
Thank
well.
you.
Okay,
Okay, thank you so much.
bye.
And bye.
And